Daniel Cole had worked the overnight shift at WKRM 94.7 for 11 years without incident. The graveyard slot, midnight to 5, suited him. It suited his insomnia. It suited the particular silence he carried after his mother died. The kind of silence that needed to be filled with other people's music, other people's voices. He discovered the anomaly on a Tuesday in October. He was rewinding a recorded segment when he heard it. His own voice, coming through the monitor feed, but off. Slightly too fast. Slightly too deliberate. He thought he was listening to a previous broadcast until he heard himself say something he hadn't said yet. Coming up after the break, 7 degrees by morning. Bundle up, Millfield. He hadn't recorded that. The weather report wasn't until 4 a.m. He checked the timestamp on the feed. The recording was dated Thursday, 2 days ahead. He told himself it was a technical error, a crossed signal, a file mislabeled. He rewound and played it again. Then again. His voice, his cadence, his specific, unrepeatable way of saying, "bundle up," a phrase his father had used that he'd absorbed without realizing it. On Wednesday, the temperature dropped to 7 degrees, exactly as he'd said. He began listening to the Thursday feed deliberately, then Friday, then the week beyond. Each transmission arrived exactly 48 hours before the moment he recorded it. Clear as present tense, detailed as memory. He started writing things down. Stock movements he mentioned offhand. A traffic accident on Route 9 he referenced as breaking news. The name of a caller who would ring at 2:17 a.m. and speak for 4 minutes about his dying dog. Everything happened, exactly as broadcast. He told his wife about it in November. Sarah listened with the particular patience she reserved for things she didn't believe but loved him too much to dismiss. She refilled his coffee. She touched his hand. "Just don't tell me anything bad," she said. He laughed. He promised. He didn't know then that the feed had limits.
The transmission for December 14th arrived on December 12th, as expected. He was alone in the booth, the city asleep outside. The only light, the slow blink of the on-air sign in the corridor. He poured coffee and pressed play. For the first 20 minutes, it was ordinary. Weather, a caller asking about New Year's Eve plans, song dedications, his own voice, comfortable and low, filling the headphones like it always did. Then, at 2:43 a.m., the recording changed. Not his voice anymore. Background noise, the hiss of a room, a door, a sound he recognized. His own house, the bedroom. Then Sarah's voice, confused, then afraid. Then a sound he couldn't name at first, dull and final and wrong. And then a long, long silence. And then his own voice again, very quietly, saying just one word: "Sorry." He ripped the headphones off. He sat in the booth with his hands on the desk, his breath coming fast, his mind running through every possible explanation that wasn't the one that was true. He drove home at 3 in the morning and watched his wife sleep and felt something loosen in his chest. She was breathing. She was fine. He had 2 days. He called in sick for December 14th. He booked a hotel 40 miles away in a city he had no reason to visit. He told Sarah it was a work thing, overnight, back by morning. He drove her to her sister's house on the afternoon of the 14th and didn't explain. She was angry. He let her be angry because angry meant alive. He sat in the hotel room and watched television until midnight, then 1, then 2, then 2:43. Nothing happened. At 3 a.m., he called Sarah. She answered on the second ring, still angry, still alive. He started crying and couldn't stop, and she stopped being angry and asked him what was wrong, and he said, "I don't know," which was the first lie he had told her in 11 years of marriage.
He went back to WKRM in January. He told himself it was over, a fluke, a cross-transmission, a mind that had bent under the weight of grief and presented the bending as prophecy. He deleted the December 14th recording without listening to the end. He told himself he had never needed to hear the end. On February 3rd, the 48-hour feed stopped working. He noticed it the way you notice when a sound you've grown accustomed to suddenly stops. He checked the equipment, checked the frequencies. Nothing wrong. The signal was clean. It simply wasn't coming anymore. The last transmission he received was dated February 2nd, and it was perfectly ordinary. Traffic, weather, a listener calling to request a song for her mother's birthday. He listened to it live on the 2nd, matching every word, and felt, for the first time in months, like himself again. He went home that night and cooked dinner for Sarah and opened a bottle of wine they'd been saving for something, although he couldn't remember what, and they sat at the table and talked until midnight. And it was good, the way things can be good, after fear. At 1:17 a.m., his phone rang. The number was his own, his work number, the WKRM landline, which no one used anymore. He answered it. Static, then breathing, then his own voice, but hollow, flattened, as if recorded in an empty room. Daniel. The feed didn't stop. I stopped sending. He couldn't speak. There's a reason I stopped. A pause. The breathing continued. You don't want to know what comes next. The line went dead. He sat in the kitchen for a long time with the phone in his hand, the wine going warm. Sarah asleep upstairs. The house quiet and ordinary, and full of a specific kind of silence he recognized now. The silence that comes not from nothing happening, but from something waiting to begin. He has not returned to WKRM. He sleeps with every light in the house burning, and he does not answer his phone after midnight.